Hi, I'm San Harper of Cotswold Mindfulness and the Guild of Mindful Driver Trainers, and welcome to today's Nelson's Noel Wellbeing Challenge, 12 days and 12 challenges. Today's challenge is all about mindful listening. Many of us operate from a place of broadcasting information rather than a place of receiving it, and the average person remembers only 25% of what someone's just said minutes after they've said it. Have you ever found yourself thinking more about what you're going to say next rather than about what the other person was saying? In a work setting, a good employer or manager can offer many benefits, making sure employees understand their expectations and praise them when they meet them. But above all, there's one employer or manager competency that trumps all of these, and that is to be a good listener. It doesn't mean an employer needs to agree with every suggestion their employee makes or fix every problem, but it does mean they need to listen and pay attention. Noticing and being aware of the signs of stress or other mental health issues among employees enables employers to help manage the cause rather than simply condemning the behaviour. Risky behaviours at work brought about by high levels of stress and emotional reactivity can cause things like tunnel vision, you're less likely to notice what's happening around you, impaired precision, feeling detached from yourself and your surroundings, and emotional reactivity, which can lead to a chain of negative choices and events. If you notice colleague or employee aggression, a high level of sickness or absence, decreased performance, more complaints and grievances, or lateness and unreliability, extra surveillance and hearing what other employers are saying might reveal what's really going on for that person. Employers promoting a culture of well-being can help employees reduce stress and create positive working environments where both individuals and organisations can thrive. Taking a step towards positive health and well-being can be a core enabler of organisational performance, employee engagement, and improved attitudes. A culture of mindfulness within any organisation can cultivate openness towards discussing problems or issues that affect individuals, teams, or the whole organisation. This can encourage conversations that inspire insight and wisdom. When an employee feels heard, they are 4.6 times more likely to feel empowered to perform to the best of their abilities in their work on any given day. Now, like me, many of us might think of ourselves as a fixer. I know I naturally want to help others by sharing my own story to show the speaker that I understand what they're going through. But I've learned through mindfulness that when you simply allow another person to speak, they will often reach conclusion or find a solution for themselves. Or even if it hasn't solved the problem, they might feel better for simply speaking about it or having more clarity than they did before. Mindfulness helps us to notice our thoughts and urges and to stay present and not interrupt. It can be hard to do though, particularly if you've got a strong desire for things to be fixed. The conversation might be about things that are positive or challenging. Sometimes you might find that what you're hearing is distressing, or you'll disagree, or you'll really want to say your piece. Just breathe. Check in with your physical and emotional reactions. See if you can let them go and return to listening. Give the gift of your full attention, and you just might find that it's more than enough. When you do speak, you'll often find that what you have to say is of far more value than if you just jump straight in. Mindfulness can help us to be aware, so when another person is speaking, we can listen open-heartedly and receptively. It might be helpful to rest gentle attention to an anchor on our body, for example, noticing our feet on the floor or our breath. And notice how it feels to listen without interrupting. See if you can notice any urges to jump in. And then see what happens if you simply acknowledge what the person is saying with maybe a nod of the head, a smile. Maybe, I hear what you're saying. What happened next? How did it make you feel? But just holding space for the other person. Often, just by allowing a little more space before we jump in, the other person, particularly if they're quite quiet, will often say something else, which can really allow us to understand where they're coming from. Giving someone our full attention is one of the simplest yet underrated gifts that we can give to anyone. Mindful listening doesn't just apply to the sounds that we can hear and the words and their meaning. It can also mean listening to the feeling tone behind the words. Can we learn what's really going on for the other person? Often complaints or criticisms are simply expressions of fear or frustration, and we can allow ourselves to be curious rather than simply jumping into a judgment thought. There are many benefits to mindful listening. It can improve our ability to focus, have better observational skills, noticing what's in the heart space or the feeling tone. This helps us to trust our gut if we're aware of our instinctive response to what someone's saying. It can improve people's ability to articulate thoughts, and this improves morale when people feel heard and valued. It brings better productivity when people feel like they're on the same page. It cultivates greater empathy and compassion towards others, and greater compassion towards yourself. More listening, less judging. In our interactions with others, most of the time, we don't even realise that the mind has wandered. We pull it back, it jumps away, we pull it back. Sound familiar? This is exactly what happens when we meditate too. And this is why meditation training can be such a huge help in our effective listening and mindful communication. When we devote our time to our practice, we begin to realise in a very direct way that we can truly only focus on one thing at a time. So I'd just like to invite you now to join me in this short mindful listening practice. Just begin by finding a comfortable and upright posture, as if your head's being pulled up by a piece of string. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze, whichever feels okay for you. And just notice what it feels like to simply stop. Putting down your to-do list. Nothing else to do, and nowhere else to be. Just noticing the sensation of the air as it comes in at the nostrils. The rise and fall of the belly and chest. The sensations of the air as it comes in and flows out of the body. You might find already that the mind has wandered. The mind is designed to have thoughts. All we're doing is simply noticing if the mind has wandered and coming back to the practice, strengthening our ability to be in the present moment. Let's just take a moment now to bring some open awareness in the environment around you, just listening to the sounds that you can hear now. There might be sounds that are far away, sounds that seem closer. Just listening in a non-judgmental way in the present moment, being aware and being the observer. Some of the sounds might seem familiar or unfamiliar. Just simply observing the sounds that you can hear right now. Just observing the things that you're aware of. And if the mind wanders, just bringing ourselves back to the present moment. We can acknowledge the thought, perhaps label it. Come back to the sounds, being curious, open and receptive. If there's no sounds, you might simply notice the sound of silence. Maybe noticing how we're relating to different sounds. Are we open and accepting of all of the sounds? Or is there any judgment? Not getting lost in the story. Simply being aware of the raw vibrations and textures of the sounds. As if all the sounds around you were a beautiful painting and we were just watching the painting being made. And coming back to the breath, reconnecting with the rise and fall of the abdomen. And connecting with how you feel in the present moment. Just breathing in and out the full duration. And when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes, coming back to the room, or wherever the space that you're in, and noticing your surroundings. Thank you for sharing this mindful listening meditation practice with me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.